Good afternoon and welcome to Football League World TV. It's time for the EFL Transfer Zone show here on the channel. My name is Sam Rourke, the Chief Editor of footballleagueworld.co.uk. I'm joined by two of my colleagues, Ben Wignall and Chris Gallagher. Ben, how are you getting on this afternoon?
Yeah, all good, Sam. The closer we get to the official opening of the transfer window in a couple of weeks, the more rumours are coming out. We've got a few more teams now in Burnley, Watford and Norwich to look at as well. So it's an exciting time for all football fans.
Yeah, very busy for us here at Football League World right now. Chris, how are you getting on?
Yeah, good, thanks. And yeah, as Ben said, it seems to be picking up quite a lot, even though the season's just finished. And sure, we've got a lot to get through, haven't we?
Absolutely. If you haven't watched an EFL Transfer Zone show here on Football League World TV, we essentially run through all the latest transfer news, rumours and gossip from across the English Football League. We are broadcasting live on Facebook, Twitter and YouTube. So please do get yourself in the comments. Who would you like your club to sign in this upcoming summer window? And also let us know your thoughts on the transfer rumours we're going to be talking about on today's show. Right, let's get straight into it. Okay, let's start off with our first EFL transfer rumour, and that is Hull City are reportedly keeping tabs on Jean-Michel Seri. He has now been released from Fulham, along with a number of other first-team individuals at Craven Cottage, the likes of Michael Hector, Alfie Mawson, among others, to join Seri from departing the London club. Hull City are keen on signing the Ivory Coast international in the summer. Obviously, it's the first full summer transfer window where Akon Ilkali, the new Hull City owner, will be in charge, and I'm sure he'll be wanting to really enhance that Tigers squad as they look for a better finish next season. Ben, let's come to you. It was only a few years ago that he was the club record signing for Fulham, £25 million from Nice. Hasn't necessarily gone too well for him at Craven Cottage. Granted, this season it's perhaps been probably one of his better seasons. Made 33 appearances in the league for Fulham. Let's come to you, Ben. In terms of this from a Hull City perspective, could this be a bit of a coup if they do manage to land him?
I think it would do, yeah. I think it makes sense that they're eyeing him up. I mean, obviously we've had generally Charlie's linked, obviously Turkish background, he knows Turkish football well, and Shatarava lads, the head coach, also managed over there. Seri went out on loan to Galatasaray a couple of seasons ago, so they'll know what kind of level he's at. Obviously, there was big things expected of him, weren't there? You know, I think before he did sign for Fulham in 2018, I think Barcelona were linked with him as well. So that's the kind of player who's expected to be. He's kind of failed to live up to that, but he was solid enough for Fulham last season. You know, you said he appeared 33 times. He was a regular in that midfield for the most part. And I do think some fans wanted him to stay, but obviously Fulham declined to take up the option because he would have been on that, you assume, big wage, and it was a surprise, to be fair, that they didn't offer him a fresh contract on reduced terms, for my mind. But clearly they think they can get more proven Premier League players. But for a Championship side who, you know, are wanting to develop and get into that top half and become a Premier League club again, he'd be a fantastic addition. You know, he's calm on the ball, he can put a tackle in, and he's got international and promotion experience, so he ticks a lot of boxes. And if Hull could get a deal over the line, I know there's interest from other countries, but it would be a really good transfer on a free.
Yeah, you'd imagine Seri would have to take a fairly sizable reduction in terms of his wages if he was to make the move to Hull City. Like you say, Ben, this was a player that was being courted by some of Europe's biggest clubs, Barcelona, Arsenal and Manchester United, linked just a few years ago for the Ivorian international. Chris, we spoke to our Hull City fan pundit here at Football League, Ant Northgraves, about this move, and he seemed very pleased with this. He said it'd be a very good signing on paper for the Tigers. Do you agree with that? Do you think it'd be a shrewd addition for Hull City?
Yeah, I definitely do. I think we obviously don't know the full intentions of the owner. He's spoke a good game since he came in, but now it's about delivering. But all the noises suggest he's going to want to have a team that's pushing for the playoffs this season, and these are the type of signings that you probably need to make. I think the whole squad at the minute's got some good players in it, but it lacks that star quality aside from, say, Lewis Potter. And in midfield particularly, they probably need someone who just has that extra bit of class on the ball, and I think Seri could bring that to them. So yeah, I'd agree with all the Hull fans that this would be a real, probably you could even say like a big statement of intent for the first signing this summer, because this is where we're really going to judge the new owner. And if he can pull this off, it would be a real good start, an exciting window for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Hull City fans, let us know in the comments what you make of the reported interest in Jean-Michel Seri. He is being courted by Hull City as we approach the opening of the transfer window. Right, let's look at another EFL rumour next. Lots of interest is emerging in Sunderland striker Ross Stewart. Middlesbrough, Queen's Park Rangers and Sheffield United, just some of the clubs said to be keen on the Scottish striker. He has, of course, enjoyed a really productive campaign at Alex Neil's Sunderland. He scored the second goal in their League One playoff final victory over Wycombe Wanderers. 27 goals across the whole League One season for Ross Stewart. It really has been a phenomenal campaign for the forward. Ben, let's come to you then. He is, of course, getting promoted with Sunderland. He will be playing in the Championship next season. First and foremost, from a Sunderland perspective, I'd imagine he's someone that they'll want to keep hold of, won't they?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he had big shoes to fill, didn't he, when Charlie White left for Wigan in the summer, and he scored goals in Scotland, but there was never a guarantee he'd do the same in England. But this season he's been really prolific. Did go through a bit of a dry spell at one point, but 27 goals for the season's a really good tally. And we saw Ivan Toney do a similar thing in League One a couple of seasons ago, and he's gone on to bigger and better things. And I genuinely believe Stewart, at the age of 25, he can still develop, and he can go on to better things as well. Sunderland will obviously want to keep him, and it's interesting that the club's linked aside from Rangers in Scotland are all at Championship level as well. But I think you've got to take his contract situation into account. He's only got 12 months left, I believe, and if Sunderland can't offer him what he wants, or if he rejects deals, then maybe they will have to think about cashing in. But I think it'd hurt Sunderland fans if he did go to a divisional rival next season.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris, I mean, of them linked clubs, Middlesbrough, Queen's Park Rangers and Sheffield United, are there any that stand out in terms of a really good destination for Ross Stewart next? I mean, for me, you look at Sheffield United, they've already got a plethora of attacking options right now. You do wonder if that'll be the best fit for Ross Stewart right now. But Borough, they're going to be looking for a striker in particular. Chris Wilde has made it no secret this summer they are going to recruit in attacking areas. What do you make of the linked clubs? Like I said, are there any that stand out for you?
Yeah, I agree. I think Middlesbrough's the one that they really need at least one striker, at least two strikers, to be honest. So he could be the focal point. He could lead the line and become that main man that he is at Middlesbrough. He is at Sunderland and be the same at Middlesbrough. I think you mentioned there Sheffield United. They do have a few options, and he's obviously a different player to McBurney, but he has a similar profile with his size, the way he leads the line, and you're looking there, you think obviously McBurney's had a tough year, but Sheffield United will want to get him back to the levels he's shown. So where would Stewart fit in there? And maybe similar with Lyndon Dykes at QPR, you probably couldn't see the two playing as a front two. So then it's where does Stewart fit in? Does he play every week? And I think he's at a stage in his career where he does need to, if he is going to choose to leave Sunderland, because that's obviously a big risk from his perspective, given how well it's gone for him there. But yeah, I'd say of those clubs that Middlesbrough is the one where he could be the main man, and they will be looking to push for promotion. So if he did leave, that would be a good destination for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Sunderland fans, get in the comments. Do you expect to keep hold of Ross Stewart this summer as you embark on a Championship campaign next season? Please do let us know in the comments. Right, let's look at another EFL transfer rumour next. The future of Nathan Byrne at Derby County is up in the air right now. A number of linked clubs have emerged over the last few days. Stoke City, Millwall and Preston all linked to a move for Byrne in this summer window. He is set to be released at the end of this month if a new contract isn't sorted for the player. Ben, let's come to you then. Byrne's been a pretty consistently solid performer for Wayne Rooney's side this season. You do still feel he has plenty to offer at second tier level. I suppose, Ben, being a Preston fan, let's look at it from a Preston angle first. Would he be someone you'd like to see arrive at Deepdale this summer?
Yeah, I think he'd be a good addition. I think Ryan Law's made no secret about wanting to add championship experience to his team, and he decided to convert Brad Potts from a midfielder to a wing back when he arrived, and he's been solid enough, Potts, but I think Law's made it clear that he wants a bit more pace and attacking now from his wing backs, and I imagine we'll go all out to get a pair of new wing backs for each side of the pitch. And I think Law ticks the boxes that Law wants. So he's 30 soon, he's got experience, and whilst he won't have any resale value, he should be a good player in a system like Law, so I wouldn't be averse to North End making the move.
I mean, Chris, again, this is a player you'd imagine they'd like to keep hold of. Plenty of experience within the EFL. Doesn't seem to be too injury prone. Hasn't been over the last season or two. Played a lot for Derby this season. He's a player Derby would ideally like to keep hold of, wouldn't they? But again, it's probably going to be out of their hands, isn't it?
Yeah, I think definitely. From a football perspective, he's clearly probably too good for League One. He's done well in the Championship for quite a while in his career. So, yeah, there's no surprise that there is Championship interest. So, just working on that basis, if the Rams did keep him in the third tier, it would be great business for them. We obviously know he might want to stay. He's obviously seemed to enjoy his football under Rooney. So, you can't rule out if these off-the-field issues get sorted. But, yeah, I think in terms of if he wants to play at the highest level, then yeah, the Championship interest is understandable because he's someone who could do a job for the next 2 or 3 years, I'd imagine, quite easily.
Yeah, just sticking with you then, Chris, in terms of the Stoke and the Millwall interest, what do you make of that? I mean, you look at Millwall, we've seen Dan McNamara enjoy a really productive season for Gary Rowett's side at right back. You'd imagine that Burn would perhaps go in as an understudy to him, given McNamara's really impressive season. Where would that be a good fit? Do you feel Millwall, or what do you make of the Stoke interest as well?
Yeah, no, I'd agree with you with McNamara there. He's had a great season, so it wouldn't really make sense for the player or Millwall to bring Burn in because he's someone who's going to want to play, you'd imagine. So yeah, I'd say Stoke is probably the best fit. I think we know O'Neill's gone with the back three at times, so if he could use him as the wing back, that does bring the best out of his game with his pace and his ability to get forward. So I think Tommy Smith's left as well since the end of the season. So yeah, that would appear a good fit for Stoke and a good move for the player as well.
Yeah, let us know in the comments, Derby fans, about the future of Nathan Burn. Do you firmly expect him to depart Pride Park this summer? Do you think there's any chance of keeping hold of him? And what do you make of the interest from the aforementioned clubs, Stoke, Preston and Millwall, all keeping tabs on Nathan Burn this summer? Right, let's touch on another rumour next. The future of Han Noah Masengo is a topic of debate once again. Nice are leading the race to sign the Frenchman in the summer. The 20-year-old has enjoyed a really, really good campaign at Ashton Gate in what has been a pretty underwhelming season for the Robins on the whole. Masengo's really stood out in the middle of the park. Only 20 years old and has got a really, really high ceiling, you do feel. Leicester City also keen on Masengo as we approach the summer. Ben, again, Masengo's really, really kind of cemented himself in the middle of the park at Bristol City. He's a player with a really bright future. You'd imagine Nigel Pearson will want to keep Masengo around, don't you?
Yeah, he definitely will do. But, if Masengo doesn't sign a new contract, then I think Bristol City will have to cash in on him. I think he's been inconsistent since he's arrived at the club, but you can accept that considering how young he is, and he's got a lot of responsibility in that team, especially this past season. He's personally the best player I've seen at Deepdale against PNE this season. He ran the show in that 2-2 draw. I think it was in January, and he looks every inch, a Premier League player. So it's not surprising to see bigger clubs interested. Obviously, I think it was a decent investment. I think they paid 2.7 million initially, and they rejected something like 8 million from Watford last summer, and that was with 2 years left on his deal. Now he's got 1 year left. I think they can only really expect to get a similar amount that they rejected last summer from him. I don't think they can, expect tens of millions of pounds for him, even though he has the potential to be, a 20, 30 million pound midfielder for my mind. I think money's pretty tight at Bristol City. They're operating on a bit of a shoestring transfer budget at the minute, and if they do have to cash in on Masengo, I don't think it'll be the end of the world, but obviously they'll want to keep him and build a team around him and Alex Scott.
Yeah, like you say, Ben, Bristol City in financial difficulties right now, it's fair to say. You do imagine they're going to have to sell a number of players. Masengo is arguably their most prized asset, the player they're going to get the most returns on this summer. Chris, from a Bristol City perspective, with the kind of finances in mind, Masengo only having 1 year left on his current deal, would you be inclined to listen to offers if they were sort of in an adequate region?
Yeah, I don't really think it matters what the fans think, to be honest. I think the board will want to cash in because, as you touched on there, he's one of few that will get a big money. I'd probably agree with Ben, the 8 to 10 million range. Even then, you'd probably be lucky with his contract situation. But yeah, there's not too many in that squad that command such a fee. And when you saw their accounts, really, they've got to sell some players this summer. I think the manager knows it, the fans know it, and I think deep down they'll all be expecting Masengo to go this summer. So it is just a case of maybe hoping there's a bit of an auction where you can rise the price. But yeah, they probably have seen the last of him in a Bristol City shirt, and then it's about the Pearson and the recruitment team trying to find a few bargains to ensure the squad's ready to go in August.
Yeah, Bristol City fans, get in touch with us. What do you make of the situation with Hanno and Masengo right now? Do you expect him to depart Ashton Gate this summer? Let us know. Right, we've had a comment come in from YouTube from Sam Wright. Great to have you with us this afternoon. I think Bird might stay because he said he would stay if he got a new contract. Sam holding out some hope there that Byrne will remain at Pride Park ahead of a League One season. Keep the comments rolling in. We want to hear from you. Let's touch on another EFL transfer rumour next. As we touched on a little bit earlier on in the show, Middlesbrough are keen to add to their attacking department this summer, and they've been linked with a move for Huddersfield Town striker Jordan Rhodes. The 32-year-old has really played a bit of an understudy role this season within Carlos Corberan's side. Danny Ward has been the main man up front for the Terriers this campaign, but Jordan Rhodes has stepped in every now and then and proved pretty useful when required. Ben, let's come to you. Jordan Rhodes, no stranger to the Riverside, had a stint there a couple of years ago at Middlesbrough. Do you think this could be a good addition for Chris Wilder's side?
Personally, I'm not sure about this one. I think obviously he was underwhelming the first time around at Bury. After they spent a small fortune on him, didn't they, from Blackburn? But it's it's a bit different this time around. He's 32 years old. He's still got 2 years left at Huddersfield, and I admit I was a bit surprised when I heard this rumour. Borough would have to pay a fee for him, with 2 years left on his deal, and I couldn't really see, Borough, who are aiming for promotion to the Premier League next season, paying a fee for a 32-year-old, especially when he's only played 23 games. I know he was injured for a little bit of this season, but he only started seven of those appearances. So I think it'd be really surprising if he went back to Middlesbrough, although Chris Wilder has counted on experienced strikers in the past. David McGoldrick and Billy Sharp at Sheffield United were in their 30s when they were plundering in goals in the Championship a couple of years ago. So it wouldn't surprise me if Wilder does look to do a deal, but I'd be surprised if Rhodes does leave Huddersfield again.
Chris, what do you make of this? I suppose from one perspective, you could look at, you look at the likes of Josh Coburn, young Borough striker who's sort of coming through the ranks, enjoyed a somewhat of a breakthrough season this season. To look up to someone like Jordan Rhodes, who's had such a prolific time in the EFL, that could only benefit Coburn's development. The likes of Duncan Watmore as well will sort of appreciate having someone like that around the place. What do you make of it then from a Borough perspective? Do you think Jordan Rhodes could be a good addition for him?
Yeah, well, I think there you've touched on a few qualities that he can bring off the pitch, and it does look like he's done that for Huddersfield this season. And to be fair to him, he has stepped up in the last few months, particularly with some important goals. I think at Middlesbrough away, he played very well in what was a big game. But yeah, I would agree with Ben. I'm not too sure on this. I think Middlesbrough probably needs, as we've said, 2 or 3 strikers, and they need people who are going to score goals. You need this 15 to 20 goal a season man, and Rhodes isn't that anymore. I think you could make a case that he'd be a good squad option for them, and as you touched on there with the experience. But I think if you're a Middlesbrough fan, there's probably goalkeeper and striker are the 2 big signings that you've got to make this summer. And whilst Rose wouldn't be the only one, they do need a more prolific option. So you'd probably be a bit underwhelmed about this if it does go through.
Borough fans, let us know in the comments. Would you like to see Jordan Rhodes return to the Riverside in the summer? Let us know. Right, we've got a couple more EFL transfer rumours coming up for you next. Preston North End are keen on signing Tottenham youngster Dane Scarlett. Scarlett's really highly rated at White Hart Lane in particular. He just signed a new deal at Tottenham. It looks like they are going to loan him out this summer, and Preston are among several Championship sides keen on a move for the young forward. Ben, we saw the impact of what a young Premier League striker can have at Preston with Cameron Archer last season. He enjoyed a really productive campaign at Deepdale when he arrived. Is Dane Scarlett a player that sort of gets you excited, Ben? Would you like to see him arrive this summer?
Well, personally, I've not seen too much of him. I know he's played a few times for Tottenham in the Premier League and in Europe, and his record at England the 19 level is really impressive. 10 goals in 10 games, pretty eye-catching, and he seems to know where the back of the net is. I don't think it quite happened for him in the under-23s for Tottenham this season, but I know the season before he scored 17 and 16 for the under-18, so he's clearly a player that knows where the back of the net is. He's an explosive striker, and I think Premier League clubs are going to see now that PNEs are a team that the teams can send their best young loan prospects to, and they can develop. We've seen with Cameron Archer, Sepp Vandenberg, and to a lesser degree Daniel Eves, since he's got a few years on the pair. They've all improved massively since being at North End, and I think Scarlett looks like he's ready for a loan spell in the EFL, and PNE could be the ideal destination for him. The only worry I might have is he looks to be a very similar player to Emile Rees. He likes to get behind defences and be the kind of the last man, whereas he doesn't really seem to like to drop deep. Can they both play together in the same team? I'm not 100% sure, but I do think he's worth taking a chance on the potential that he can score like he has done for England at youth level and Tottenham at youth level.
Are you, Ben, still holding out for Cameron Archer's return? I mean, a lot of Preston fans, if you look on social media, are sort of clamouring for him to return to Deepdale. Are you firmly in that court? Do you hope that he does return for next season?
Yeah, I think everyone says never fall in love with a loan player, and I'm guilty of that as much as anyone. And yeah, I do want to see him back. He came to North End in January as a player who Aston Villa clearly saw a lot of potential in, but his only real experience before his goals in the EFL Cup for Villa was a loan spell at Solihull Moors, and that was in non-league last season. So he's made really big strides, and I think his all-round game developed pretty well in the few months he was at Deepdale. So yeah, I would like to see him back, but if Steven Gerrard decides that he wants him in his Premier League squad, then we can't do anything about that. We've got to move on to other targets. Scarlett would be an ideal kind of alternative to Archer, but Archer's still top of my list.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be the case. PNE fans, get in the comments. Would you like to see Dane Scarlett arrive at Deepdale this summer? Would you also like to see Cameron Archer return? We'd love to get your thoughts. Right, we've got one more EFL transfer rumour for you next. So this is an exclusive from us here at Football League. What we received this news this morning. We understand Victor Gyökeres is a man very much in demand. Fulham, Middlesbrough and Burnley are all tracking the Swedish international ahead of the summer transfer window opening. Gyökeres has been a key cog in Mark Robbins's Coventry City side this season. 17 league goals for Gyökeres in what's been a really standout campaign for the former Swansea City man. Ben, let's come to you first for Gyökeres. He's enjoyed a really great campaign with Coventry City. He's been one of the standout players at the CBS Arena this season. Let's talk about Fulham, one of the clubs linked with him. Just been promoted to the Premier League. Is he a player, Gyökeres, that has Premier League quality in your eyes?
Yeah, I think he does. And I think there's a reason that Brighton did pick him up at a young age. He obviously showed that he had the potential to be that kind of Premier League player. And I think last season, the season before last, you'd be kind of questioning that ability. He failed to fire at Swansea, and I think he scored like 3 and 18 for Coventry in the second half of the season. But Coventry took a chance on him, and they've reaped the rewards. He scored 17 league goals. He looks to be kind of the all-round striker. He's powerful, he's quick, he can score all types of different goals. And Coventry are a club that probably won't stand in the way of a player moving on to bigger things if they get the right offer. And the right offer for Gyökeres, who's a full Sweden international, is probably going to be a high 7-figure offer, and they probably won't stand in his way if it comes in. But I think they wouldn't sell to a divisional rival, so it'll take Premier League or foreign clubs coming in for him to depart. But he's got a good thing going on at Coventry right now, and if he does stay, I back him to better his goal tally from this past season.
Yeah, I mean, Coventry will definitely drive a hard bargain if they are going to offload the Swedish international this summer. He's proved to be such a key component in Mark Robbins's team. Chris, what sort of valuation would you put on Gyökeres' head right now, given the season he's just had?
Yeah, I think when you take into account his age as well at 23, I think you've got to be looking at a 10 million probably at least, really. It would obviously be a massive sum for Coventry considering where they've been over the past few years, but he's done it in the Championship now, so they've got to look at the price. You see good Championship strikers go for it. It's a lot of money, so they'll be well within their rights to demand a big sum before they sell. So yeah, I think maybe buying clubs wouldn't want to fork that out just yet. You might want to see him have another prolific season, because he has struggled in the past, but he was obviously a lot younger, so you're not going to judge him entirely on that. But maybe another year with Coventry would probably be best for all parties, and it would boost his valuation if he goes the way that we think he can, because he should continue to get better, and he's got time on his side as well.
Yeah, so we put this story out on our Twitter page this morning, and it sparked a really fierce debate in our mentions. Middlesbrough and Coventry fans in particular going at each other over this particular piece of news. So there we go. Right, well, that brings today's EFL Transfer Zone show to an end here on Football League World TV. Ben, Chris, thanks for joining me this afternoon. Thanks for everyone that tuned in to watch this. If you are watching this on repeat on YouTube, please do stick a like in below this video and subscribe to us if you enjoy the content. Coming up for you tomorrow, we have a really big show at 11 o'clock. We're going to be previewing the Sky Bet Championship playoff final. Nottingham Forest against Huddersfield Town. Alfie Burns will be steering the wheel for that one. It's set to be a cracking final. We're going to be discussing it and analysing it ahead of the big game on Sunday. But from myself, Ben, and Chris, we shall see you soon.